You've probably heard this idea before, Marianne Williamson's famous concept of a return to love. It sounds so simple, so beautiful, right? But what happens when that idea smacks up against real life? You know, the messy, painful, complicated parts. Well, that's what we're going to explore today. I've put together a kind of dream team of thinkers to really put this idea to the test against some of life's absolute toughest questions.
So at its core, Williamson's whole concept is actually pretty straightforward. She's not just talking about love as an emotion, like in a love song. She's saying love is our factory setting. It's our true nature. It's the person we are underneath all the layers of fear and old hurts and all those walls we build to protect ourselves.
And that's the real question, isn't it? It's one thing to agree with that on a spiritual level, to nod along and say, yeah, that sounds right. But it's a completely different ballgame to actually live that way when you're dealing with old trauma or a tough relationship or you're looking at the injustice in the world. So let's really see how this beautiful idea holds up when the pressure is on.
And the first big hurdle we have to get over is the past. Every single one of us carries wounds, and these old injuries create this deep conflict inside us when we try to get back to love. So the journey has to start by looking right at the things that hurt.
Think about it like this. There's this constant tug of war going on inside you. Part of you, your soul, your higher mind, hears this call to love and says, yes, I want that. I want that peace. But then there's your body, your nervous system, that's been trained by every bad thing that's ever happened to you. And it's screaming, no way. I remember what happened last time, danger. And this isn't you failing. It's just biology.
And this is where our panel of thinkers just nails it. Thomas Hübl suggests maybe we need to rethink what choice even means. Maybe choosing love today just means staying present with a difficult feeling for 3 seconds longer than you did yesterday. Edith Eger is so clear. Feeling fear doesn't mean you're failing. The real question is that fear driving the car? And I love how Esther Perel puts it. These reactions, they aren't hypocrisy. It's just memory showing up. Your fear is an echo of the past, not a prophecy of the future. Which, of course, brings us to the big one, forgiveness. It's such a loaded word. What does it actually mean to forgive when the harm was real, the wound is still there, and maybe, just maybe, there will never be any justice for what happened?
This idea from Edith Eger, a Holocaust survivor, just completely turns the whole concept on its head. Forgiveness is not about saying what you did was okay. It's not for them. It's for you. It's about letting go of that impossible, soul-crushing hope that somehow, someday, the past will be different. It won't. Forgiveness is how you stop being a prisoner to what happened. It's how you take your power back. And this idea gets even bigger. Martin Luther King Jr. showed us that forgiveness and justice aren't opposites. In fact, when we refuse to let bitterness and hatred set up camp in our own souls, we actually make ourselves stronger in the fight for justice. We can fight against what's wrong without becoming the very thing we're fighting.
Okay, so we've looked at past wounds, but now we have to face a much sneakier opponent, our own ego. And the ego, well, it's clever. It can disguise its fear in some pretty convincing costumes, like spirituality, morality, even love itself.
This is so important. We all do this. That performance of being constantly good and nice, it could just be a desperate need for everyone to like you. All that talk about transcending the negative, a lot of the time that's just spiritual bypassing, a fancy way to avoid your actual painful feelings. Even being morally righteous or holding on tight to being a victim, it can be the ego's way of making sure it stays the hero of the story. It's just fear in a holy robe.
So how do you know the difference? Well, Thomas Hübl gives us a great little check-in. Ask yourself, is my spiritual path making me more rigid, more defensive, harder for people to talk to? Or is it making me softer, more open to feedback, more present? You see, real growth doesn't give you a better mask. It helps you take the mask off completely.
And the writer Bell Hooks adds this brilliant layer. An identity that's built just to look good to others is super fragile. It always needs an audience, right? It needs people clapping. But real love, it couldn't care less about looking good. It's way more interested in what's true. All right, so we've done the internal work, we've looked at trauma and the ego. Now let's take all this into the final boss levels, our relationships and the wider world. This is where the rubber really meets the road.
And this question really gets right to the heart of it. We love to think of love as this magical thing, this feeling that just washes over us. But how much of real, lasting adult love is actually a set of skills, things you have to learn and practice day in and day out, especially when it's hard?
Because it turns out love isn't just a feeling, it's a discipline. It takes skill. It's the skill of listening, really listening, when what you're hearing is uncomfortable. It's practicing repair, knowing how to say, I'm sorry and mean it, because relationships will break and need fixing. It's respecting boundaries, not as walls to keep people out, but as a way to honor each other's dignity. And maybe most of all, it's telling the truth, so your relationships can be built on what's real, not on a performance.
And this doesn't stop at our front door. Martin Luther King Jr. reminds us that love has a huge public role. It becomes political the second we have the guts to ask, is our society actually set up to honor the dignity of every single person? And if the answer is no, well, then love demands that we do something about it.
So after all of this, after putting this idea of returning to love through the ringer, where does that leave us? Well, it turns out the journey isn't quite what we thought it was when we started.
And this, right here, is the biggest insight of all. We might think we're looking for a return to comfort, a return to a safe, cozy, peaceful feeling. But the true journey, the real return to love, is actually a return to courage. The courage to face ourselves, each other, and the world, exactly as it is.
So a return to love is really a return to courage. It's a return to honesty. It's the willingness to see things clearly, even when it hurts. It's about forgiving without pretending. It's about acting for what's right without letting hate consume you. At the end of the day, it's about choosing to let grace, not fear, be the thing that moves you.
So I'll just leave you with this final question to think about. After everything we've talked about, the real work starts when we turn inward and ask ourselves honestly, what part of me still resists love, even when it's disguised in the name of love? Because right there, in that honest answer, that's where the real journey begins.